time comes in the life of every race when people are driven by echoes of the past to chart a course for an exalted future. Africa is at this threshold. As major actors in the Africa arena plots a renaissance towards common destiny, let's pedal across the streams of yesterday, from the backstreets of Africa to the defining roles of policymakers, the political realities of the African nation, balance of power, and the strive to sustain national interest and identity. Join us on Network Africa on Channels Television. Network Africa, the rallying point for the emergence of a new Africa.
Hello and welcome to Network Africa. I am Adeshewa Josh. This week, Ebola virus claimed more lives in West Africa as health officials record up to 25 new deaths.
779 cases of Ebola in the three countries involved, of which are Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, of which 481 people have died.
Oscar Pistorius' 4-month-old trial hits the home stretch. What will it be for the Blade Runner? Trial resumes on August the 7th.
That affected his ability to distinguish between rightful or wrongful nature of his deeds, and a mental disorder or mental defect did not affect his ability to act in accordance with the set appreciation of the rightful or wrongful nature of his deeds.
And for the first time since 1998, Tanzania experiences a series of bomb explosions in the month of July as 8 people get badly injured in a blast at a restaurant in the Tanzanian town of Arusha. Then hope stared again in the rescue of the Chibok girls after over 80 days in captivity as former heads of states brainstorm on their return. Rescuing the Chibok schoolgirls from the hands of their captors was the major focus of the National Security Council meeting in Abuja held on Tuesday, and for the first time, the council witnessed a large attendance of almost all the former heads of states. The meeting, presided over by President Goodluck Jonathan, had General Yakubu Gowon, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, General Ibrahim Babangida, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, Chief Ernest Shonekan, and Alhaji Shehu Shogari in attendance. Briefing journalists at the presidential villa after the meeting, the governor of Akwa Ibom State, Godswill Akpabio, said that the issue is not whether the girls would be rescued or not, but how to make sure that they are rescued alive. The group also gave thumbs up to the security agencies for intensifying efforts towards rescuing the girls. It is now over 80 days since the girls have been in captivity.
At the last count, 6 past Nigerian leaders attended the Council of State meeting. Also present were 2 former Chief Justices of Nigeria, leadership of the National Assembly, service chiefs and governors of the 36 states of the Federation, those that took the meeting serious. President Goodluck Jonathan was said to have briefed them on the security situation in the country. The army chiefs also briefed them on the effort to rescue the Chibok girls who have been in the camp of the Boko Haram for over 80 days now.
The efforts are being made, and that sooner than later, that God willing, we'll have good news. And it was also very heartwarming to note that the issue is not whether we can rescue the girls. The issue is how can we rescue them in a way that will ensure their safety, so that we don't end up in the attempt to rescue them, we endanger their lives. And then what also came out is the need for Nigerians to be patient, that this kind of terrorism that we are facing now is a new challenge in Nigeria, and worldwide is not something that goes away in a day.
Nigeria may have had its fair share of crises in the past, but never has the country experienced terrorism so much so that over 200 Nigerian girls will be abducted at the same time. Not just that, the terrorists can choose where to bomb anytime they like, and all they do is stand and watch. Council can only advise the media, religious leaders and politicians not to rationalize the act.
We also agree that as politicians, we also should be more sensitive to national security. And when it comes to national security, partisanship should give way to all hands being on deck and speaking with one voice in denouncing terrorism, and all of us be seen to be on the same page. It is not a partisan issue. If there is no Nigeria, there is no political party become irrelevant. And we are convinced that all of us can do better, and we should change our language. Political parties should put Nigeria first before partisan consideration. I think the third issue is the role of religious leaders. That it is not helpful for any religious leader to, seek to rationalize this act by suggesting that these people are belonging to one religion, or that their target is another, that the entire thing is based on religion. It is not.
It's now over 85 days since the abduction of the Nigerian girls. While the girls remain incaptive, the bombing of innocent citizens may continue on the streets. Who knows the story these Nigerian leaders will tell when next they meet here? One hopes it will be a celebration of victory over Boko Haram.
More people have died as a result of the spread of the Ebola virus in West Africa. Health workers say they have recorded 25 new deaths in connection with the disease since July the 3rd, taking the total number of deaths to 518. The World Health Organization said 50 new cases of the deadly disease had also been reported. A WHO spokesman said health workers were struggling to contain the outbreak in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. In a statement on Tuesday, the WHO said the latest figures from health ministries in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea showed a total of 844 cases since the epidemic began in February.
The Ebola virus disease, formerly known as Ebola hemorrhagic fever, is a severe, often fatal illness in humans, as outbreaks have a case of fatality of up to 90%. According to the World Health Organization, outbreaks occur primarily in remote villages in Central and West Africa near tropical rainforests. It first appeared in 1976 in two simultaneous outbreaks in Nzara, Sudan, and in Yambuku in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The village is situated near the Ebola River, from which the disease takes its name. Since it reappeared in West Africa, the World Health Organization has announced a steady rise in the number of cases and deaths.
There are now a total of 779 cases of Ebola in the three countries involved, of which are Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, of which 481 people have died.
The announcement came one day after a two-day meeting in Ghana's capital, Accra. The 11 ministers at the meeting committed to better surveillance to detect cases of the virus, enhanced cross-border collaboration, better engagement with local communities, and closer cooperation with the UN World Health Organization and other partners. Ministers also recommended setting up a sub-regional control center in Guinea to coordinate technical support. The decisions involve governments, the United Nations, the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, aid agencies, and the private sector.
If we strengthen the surveillance, if we work better than we did with the local communities to explain what is Ebola, because there is still a lot of resistance from the population to cooperate with health workers. I can understand, because it's really a disease that it's scary, and it brings with it a lot of anxiety and fear.
Is it possible to stop the Ebola virus disease outbreak in Africa? Our director of disease prevention and control says, yes, it is. We've had outbreaks of Ebola before. We've been able to stop them. We know the way to do it. This is a bigger challenge than previously because it's in three countries and it's several small scattered outbreaks, but the principles are the same. We can stop the Ebola outbreak if we take the 5 important measures.
The meeting, however, made no reference to increased financial support for the effort, and there was little detail about how the measures would be implemented.
Well, the first time it was seen was in 1976 in two simultaneous outbreaks in Nzara, Sudan, and in Yambuku, Democratic Republic of Congo. Let me show you a graphical representation of the spread of the disease across West African states since it resurfaced in February this year. First off, in February this year, it resurfaced in Guinea, right here in Guinea. And by April the 23rd, the total number of suspected and confirmed cases of the outbreak had increased to 242, including 142 deaths alone in Guinea. The suspected cases were reported in Conakry, right here in Conakry, Gwekedugum, Asenta, and Dabola. On 25th of March, the Ministry of Health of Guinea reported that 4 southeastern districts of Gwekedu, Macenta, and Nzerekore, and also Kisidogu were affected with an outbreak of Ebola. Look at those states right there across, very affected with the Ebola virus. Around 23, like the 23rd of May,